You know, I I am like literally within a couple of hours grabbing stuff to leave to go on an extended trip that's going to include being at Rose City Comic Con. Say hi if you see me there. I'll be in a mask, so if that'll help at any rate, because there's still a pandemic. It hasn't stopped. Sorry, I'll get off that soapbox for the moment, although I won't stop masking. Not in places like that. Anyways. The official proper trailer, after being teased for a bit, for Abigail Thorne's next project has dropped. It is called Dracula's Ex-Girlfriend, and I think the title kind of says a lot. It is, to the best of my understanding, dealing with a vampire whose toxic ex was Dracula. There's something there. It's not necessarily an idea that's automatically going to work. You can look at Renfield, which also had a really promising sort of toxic boss slash potentially coded as lover situation, but that movie didn't quite pull together, at least not from what I've heard from people whose opinion I trust. I never actually got around to seeing it once I started hearing back how good or not great it actually was, with it leaning towards not great. But it is still an idea with some potential. So I'm going to take a look at the trailer. And before I do, just for clarity, in case there's any doubt about this, it's worth reiterating that while I have friends who do know Abigail Thorne, I do not. I have never met her. I have never directly one-on-one corresponded with her, and I haven't had any conversations. I don't think I've even been on the same Zoom call she was on that had a bunch of other people. I don't know her, but I know her work. I've enjoyed her work, so let's take a look at this thing, shall we? I promise I'm not going to have an existential meltdown about this the way that I did over The Prince. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check that out. That was I don't know, a year and a bit ago or so that happened. I'm oddly proud of that video, actually, talking through my weird existential self-doubt. But anyway, I don't expect that's going to happen again this time. And now the goddamn phone's ringing. Hang on. All right. That's dealt with. Also took the opportunity to put my pronoun pin on because I realized I hadn't yet. Like, I'm trying to get out the door, but I'm pausing to do this. So, bet you this video tanks regardless. But appreciate me. Dang it. If you hadn't noticed, I get slightly loopy when I'm like stressed and wound up. Not that I'm not looking forward to this trip. It's just, I'm running around doing a lot of things, make sure things are set for me to be gone. And anyways, ADHD's in full swing today. All right, let us take a look at the first trailer for Dracula's Ex-Girlfriend.
Another margarita on the house.
He doesn't show love the way a human would. You went behind my back. Some people are friends with their exes.
My ex is Count Dracula.
Yeah, no, that would make it hard.
Faye.
Oh, fuck. What made you decide to reach out?
It's my last night in town. Women in LA are Frankensteins, but the men are so nice.
Wanna do a line off my cock?
I bit his neck and drank his blood and dumped him in the fucking pool.
It's great to see you. You're not gonna have anything to eat?
Not yet.
Ooh, that's a good wicked look.
I'm not gonna eat him. Just drink his blood. Everybody drinks somebody's blood.
You sound like Dracula.
Well, yeah. He's right.
He gaslights you.
He does not gaslight me.
You think that Dee Dee loves you back?
Of course he does.
Oh.
Living our best lives.
Us living our best undeaths.
Interesting. Okay. So there's not time for anything else. So it looks like we're going to primarily center around this dinner conversation between the two of them. Now, I think I had thought that both characters are Dracula's ex. Abigail might be playing like Dracula's current girlfriend, or maybe that's a more recent breakup. I'm not sure. They definitely both have a connection to Dracula, but this actually has some really interesting potential in terms of being a commentary on, well, toxic relationships. Because with the other, I should check who the actress is. With the other woman being very, you sound like him, and Abigail being all like, yeah, he's right. Now, that is equally possible that she thinks that because because she's still with him and parroting and stuff, or like maybe she's gotten away from him, but he still brought her into his way of thinking enough, and then when he was done with him, just left her to potentially pass on the toxicity, because that can happen. Especially because, like, we often think of getting out of a toxic situation is the victim walking away and dumping the toxic person. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes the toxic person uses somebody up and drops them. And that can have a different kind of damage. It's all damaging. If you're in a toxic relationship, it's damaging regardless. And at least in my anecdotal experience, most really toxic people have a tendency to want to hold on to people that they are, that they have control of, and only tend to toss them away when they think they're losing that control. But it does still happen that sometimes, especially ones who think of themselves as, I don't want to say a ladies' man, because it's not strictly a gendered problem, but I'm going to go with that, because they just think, well, I'm done with you, on to the next. And that can, again, leave a different kind of damage. Now, I don't know if that's what this thing's going to explore, but it's potential. Morgana Ignis. I feel like I've seen you before. Where have I seen you before? Okay, does a voice on Hell of a Boss. I guess maybe I haven't seen her before, because I'm not sure I've seen any of the rest of this. And I think I already knew this. I think the waiter is Brandon Rogers, who's also from Hell of a Boss, which that'll be interesting. I'm looking up the IMDb. I'm not seeing, ooh, this is interesting. I'm not seeing an actor listed for Dracula. And this is a full cast list. Like, they've even got the extras listed just as restaurant patron. And these are people who I expect probably have no lines. Nobody's listed as Dracula. So this really does look like it's going to be just about the impact that this toxic person has had on the women that he has been with and potentially left behind. And depending on how it wants to go about it, can either really dive into the vampirism as a very direct metaphor for toxic damage and the damage inflicted on these women and the damage they potentially pass on and how they feel about that. Or it can just be more of a general background to something, it's going to sound weird to say, more light and fun, given that the amount of blood and stuff that we saw in that. But, like, potentially, like, I know Abigail Thorne obviously has Philosophy Tube, does a lot of analysis of that stuff, and I would imagine has a lot of philosophical intents on her own creative works. I mean, I also know that to be true of my friend Jesse, who also did a movie on Nebula called Identities, which I was in, vocally at least. But, like, I talked to Jesse, we talked to each other about our sort of creative, ideas, dreams, like, boy, it'd be real fun to get this idea off the ground. And I know that she definitely has a lot of thematic stuff, behind the ideas she wants to do. And I wouldn't be surprised if Abigail approaches things in a similar way, but I also don't have that for certain, because speaking personally, I've never gone into working on a story, and this includes my own, published works, as well as stuff that is not available to the general public. But, like, I don't go in with a thematic plan. I go in with a narrative that I want to tell. And as a rule of thumb, the themes kind of emerge from the narrative naturally. And maybe on a revision pass, I'll decide if I want to beef those themes up and integrate them more. But it's just a different way of approaching it. And it's distinctly possible that Abigail is approaching this one from a more, well, this is a fun story, plus we can get here's some themes we can get in there. And I don't want to set an expectation of a particularly deep look at relationship toxicity, because it's distinctly possible that's not what she's doing. But it's also possible that it is. Regardless, there's a nice atmosphere to this. I got a real good laugh out of that "do a line of coke" off my cock line. That's it's not often that a crass line makes me laugh. You have to deploy it well. I've actually, on my main channel, I did a video talking about, when you just swear left and right, you diminish the power of it. Just being crass doesn't do much for me. But you drop a line like that, especially after the setup of, oh, the guys here are so sweet. Yeah, that's funny. And that's I think that's part of why I'm less inclined to automatically assume deeper themes in this. Because with The Prince, which was very Shakespeare inspired, and Abigail was very upfront that it was basically a Shakespearean retelling of a journey of transition. I don't want to project that it was necessarily meant to mirror her own journey, because I don't know how much she's said that, but she was very upfront that that is what it was about. Whereas this, there were funny moments in The Prince, don't get me wrong. Most of them didn't involve Abigail's character, it involved the other ones, but there was humor in that. But this feels like it is leaning into a sense of fun a bit more, at least in terms of the marketing. Now, it's distinctly possible that it's a little bit of a Trojan horse aiming to look fun, and then you get there and it's heavy, and some people consider that deceptive marketing. I don't necessarily. This is making clear it is for adults, and if you're an adult, you can handle heavy themes, I would hope. And if you can't, engage with something else. That's fine. That's valid. It looks like it's about toxic exes. If that's triggering for you, don't walk away. That's fine. God, my ADHD is out of control today. Wow. I did take my meds this morning. I swear. I think I need to stop there, because I'll just keep going. I'm going to stop there. I like this trailer. I am definitely more excited for this than I was about The Prince. Granted, part of my reservation about The Prince was my own weird existential nonsense that I had to work through before I could actually watch that dang thing. But I'm more outwardly excited about this. There's something about the idea and the way that it looks like it's going to present it that just I don't know. It just hits me a little bit, and it's a little bit more ooh. I think part of my fear about The Prince had been that it was going to be pretentious. I think I actually used the term pretentious wankery was my fear of what it would be. I'm not too worried about this, because this has a stronger sense of fun. And again, you can slip heavy stuff and thematic stuff and deeper meanings into something that is fun. But if it is fun, then it means I'm not fully dependent on having the heavier, more philosophical stuff work. I can still get some entertainment out of it, even if that bit doesn't fully do it for me. Whereas you lean more into that, boy, you better nail it, or I'm going to be here okay. And I'm less inclined to think that that sort of reaction is going to be what happens with this. Although, again, to be clear, that wasn't really what happened with The Prince. I did mostly like it, but I've got a review up on here. It's on this channel. I don't know. Whatever. We're done. We're done. I need to stop. Thank you very much for joining me. What do you think about this trailer? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills. It enables me to do this as my living and be able to go to things like Rose City Comic Con. If you're there, say hi. That's all I've got for this time. Like, share, subscribe. That all helps. Don't worry too much about it, though. We take a relaxed attitude around here so you can come on back the next time you need a break. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Zubin Mutfula, Goddess Elida, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Oliver B., Melissa Pedersen, Tarak, The Thing That Goes Doink in the Anime, Gene Foray, Movie Turtle, Ulrich Bogdan, Loki Eris, Melinda Walters, Auntie Kate 808, Becky Sparks, Tracy Scrabbit, Angry Casperel, Dave Hall, White Bearish, Rosalind Bennett, Pal Barabajagal, Mira G, and Sir Didymus is my favorite. Oh, look, you actually get a face this time and not just butts.